Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the JRPG Report. My name is Dalton Suter, and this is episode 254. Now, I do have a guest today that I would like to introduce in just a second, but before we even get there, I want to go ahead and just let everyone know kind of what's been up with me lately and why the show's been kind of absent for the last month. I think I mentioned on the last episode that my grandfather was in the hospital, and he had gotten out. He has been back and forth, in and out, of the hospital. Like as of right now, they're treating him for pneumonia, and tomorrow they are doing an operation to try to shock his heart to put it back into a normal rhythm. So I've been real worried about that recently. So I've kind of been focusing my attention on other things. Plus I currently have COVID. So it's just been one thing after another here recently. But that being said, a good buddy of mine reached out and said, hey man, I would like to help you with the JRPG report, because I know you've had a lot going on and things like that. So he is going to start joining me on episodes to get this news out to each and every one of you lovely, lovely listeners. And I would like you all to welcome him with open arms. How would you like me to address you? You want me to call you TeamRetrogue? You want me to call you Mikolov? Mickey? What would you like?
Oh, Mickey. Ooh.
MICKEYMOUSE.
Oh, no, there's too much Mickey Mouse in my life. We'll go with Mikolov.
All right.
But I probably should explain the whole TeamRetrogue thing, shouldn't I?
That was my next thing. Was go ahead and tell everybody who you are and where they can find your stuff, my good sir.
So I am a YouTuber who is partnered with basically everything that Dalton does, which is this podcast, also the Steam Machine podcast and Yaps Pod, which I still want to go on one day because I have a feeling that there's some grievances about life that I need to air, and obviously this podcast is not the place to do it. But I produce YouTube videos on different types of emulation handhelds. I basically take all these different things that have a screen and a controller on them, and I try to get them to play Nintendo games.
And it's always entertaining for me to watch because I'm a huge advocate for emulation. You know, if you can't get the original cart, or if the original cart that you're looking for is, say, $2,000 or something ridiculous, emulate it, man. Like, just do it. And be able to enjoy these games. That's how I've played a lot of these JRPGs that people have recommended to me that are these older games, because I can't afford those. But I can emulate it, or if it's been re-released somehow. You know, it's like I'm not going to go out and pay money for Earthbound, but there are ways for me to play it now that don't break my bank account, so I can actually get in there and play it. So.
Yeah, and let's just talk about the fact that also physical media does have a lifespan, no matter which way you go about it. Like, you probably have a Super Nintendo or a Nintendo game sitting somewhere that you don't realize is long dead. Rust is a thing. They used watch batteries back then, which you can replace, but still, you know, those will eventually die out as well, and the motherboards do eventually go out. So if we're going to talk about preservation, like our kids, our potential kids, their kids, you know, how else are they going to be able to play like Mario 3, which is a game that should never be allowed to die ever?
Yeah. And it's going to rely, I mean, in Nintendo's mind, it's going to rely on them to re-release it every now and then because they're so against emulation. But, you know, I'll tell you what I enjoy most about your channel, though, is I'm always looking for a good handheld to play my stuff in while I'm laying in bed. And my thing is I'm blind. Not literally, but I mean, you see these specs that I got. I got 4 eyes, you know? So I'm always looking.
Part of your charm.
Yes, I thank you. As I tip my glasses to you, my good sir. I really like to see like how these screens look. How big are they? Like, how good is the visual on it? Because as much as I love my hacked PSP, that I play ROMs and stuff on, that's a small screen. It's pretty, but it's very small. So I don't know. I would tell anyone listening, if you have an interest in handheld gaming, you want to know maybe what's the best for what you're particularly looking for, I would almost guarantee you that TeamRetrogue on YouTube has a video about it.
There's a lot of stuff out there. Honestly, like most of my emulation these days, I do it on the Steam Deck because I have the same problem. I just can't look at small screens anymore. Like, I don't know how I stared at an original Game Boy back in the day. Squinting my eyes when the lights were low.
I was just talking about that the other day. Yeah. It's wild how primitive that screen was for what it was.
And people still flock to it. It's the nostalgia goggles.
I did like over on Steam Machine when we did a game called Gato Roboto that they had the original Game Boy skin that you could put on it, and it made everything look like that. But again, it was on my computer though, so I could see it. You know,
it was, at least it was still lit up properly.
Yeah, and it's like emulating those old games. It holds up.
One of my favorite things to do, and I know I don't want to get bogged down with this because we've got some news to get to our wonderful audience. But one of my favorite things to do is take some of those old games that actually have Super Game Boy support. Super Game Boy was this SNES attachment that you could put your Game Boy games in, but people actually programmed color into them. And so if you put them in the Super Game Boy, you got a full color game. Whereas if you put it back in your Game Boy, you had cream spinach. So now with emulation, you can actually trick the ROM into thinking it's playing on a Super Game Boy, and now you have a handheld that's playing a Game Boy game with its color.
That's cool.
That's one of my favorite things to do.
That's rad. I'll have to look into that because I did not know that. So that's something, I learned something today.
It probably could work on your PSP. I think it's just a matter of changing what RetroArch core you use.
Yeah.
But it sounds simple, but then like you go to do it and then it ends up being tougher than you thought.
Always. That's how it always is, dude. Nothing's ever easy.
No.
But
that's why YouTube channels exist.
Let us dive into some news, my good sir.
Let's do it.
This first one that's coming up is Final Fantasy VII Ever Crisis will launch for the iOS via App Store and Android via Google Play on September 7th. Square Enix has announced pre-registration is available now on both platforms. The company has also announced the results of a survey from its closed beta test that ran from June 8th to 28th, as well as its next steps in moving forward towards the official release. And if you would like an overview, if you haven't heard about this yet, here you go. Here is one for you. Another possibility for a remake. Relive the most memorable moments in Final Fantasy VII and experience the journey of a young hero, Sephiroth. Experience both classic and new stories within the Final Fantasy VII universe presented in a retro-style look combined with modern, beautifully rendered graphics that's easily accessible on the go. Team up with your favorite characters and customize each one with iconic gear and weapons to defeat powerful opponents in solo or co-op battle modes. Discover never-before-told story of a young hero, Sephiroth. Encounter new characters along the way and play as the iconic heroes such as Cloud and Zack, and epic storylines of the original Final Fantasy VII and Crisis Core Final Fantasy VII in episodic installments. The action unfolds through the characters in a modern stylized polygon look inspired by the original Final Fantasy VII, and even those experiencing it for the first time can enjoy this expansive world and the epic saga that defined RPGs for gamers throughout the world. So yeah, man, this sounds like an interesting little phone game. If you're a Final Fantasy VII fan, if you aren't a Final Fantasy VII fan, this probably sounds awful. But
so I did preload it because I'm an Apple shell. I can't get out of the ecosystem, try as I might. But some of the screenshots that they've actually shown, not much in the way of trailers that I've seen, but it looks like the original Final Fantasy VII. If they did like a 2D HD remaster of it.
Okay.
So it has like all the modern menus from the remake, like that clear half opaque menu. And it does look good. My concern is that it's just going to be like what they did with Final Fantasy 15. They ported that over to mobile, except they made all the characters chibi, and it was literally just to tell the story. There was no other substance to it.
Yeah, and then don't forget about that other Final Fantasy 15 game that had these really cool trailers, and then you installed it, and it was a town builder that was like, you need resources and stuff. It was like, oh, come on, man.
And then there was another one that was like, oh, well, this is a prequel, and it was basically a side-scrolling slasher. It was like Strider, but it was Final Fantasy.
Yeah, that's right. And they did Kingsglaive, which was the anime, which I heard was really good. But
yeah, well, poor Final Fantasy 15. So many missteps. Like, you had to watch a whole movie before you could play it.
Yeah, right. I mean, I didn't. But
as a matter of fact, my copy came with the movie.
Well, that's cool.
And I still have it. And so, like, I'm like, okay, I want to play through Final Fantasy 15 again. Let me grab some popcorn. But I'm excited to try this out. If for nothing else, if it plays very close to the original Final Fantasy VII, but it has updated graphics and it looks a little prettier, then I'm down.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know. Why is it only on iOS, though? Oh, no, it says Android. My bad.
Yeah, iOS and Android.
Ooh.
Which, I mean...
Controller support, maybe?
That's a possibility. Bluetooth controller support.
That could be a thing.
I got a buddy of mine who, exclusively does his gaming on his phone with a controller.
Really?
Yeah.
Is he an Android or is he an Apple?
Android. Okay.
Well, you could do a lot on an Android phone. You could emulate on an Android phone. So
yeah.
If there's controller support, I think you're going to get a lot more people on board. But when they ported Crystal Chronicles to mobile, there is 0 controller support. So I'm not holding out hope.
I emulated Chrono Trigger for the first time on my phone through the DS emulator.
It's a good version.
Yeah, it's the best version. I have the physical version of it now, which has only gone up since I bought it, which blows my mind.
I had it with the case and everything. I had a complete version that I'm pretty sure I bought on release. I sold it like an idiot. And so I finally rebought it and I paid $75 and I only have the cartridge now. No box.
See, I got it box and all for $35, $40.
Yeah.
And then the pandemic hit. And it went right up.
And it didn't go down.
No. That and the original Phantasy Star I have for Sega Master System. Those are the 2 most valuable games that I have.
That's got some value.
Yeah. And my only problem with the original Phantasy Star is I have the case, I have the game, I don't have the manual. So I can't say that it's complete.
No, but you could say that you have something that I bet 50 million people want.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
You just hold it up. Look, I got it.
All right, man. You want to do the next story about Atelier?
Sure. Atelier Wrestleriana launches for PC via Steam and mobile devices in Japan in 2023. This is through RPG site. Koei Tecmo and Gust held a live stream revealing Atelier Wrestler... Oh, I'm going to butcher this. I'm sorry. Atelier Wrestleriana, The Forgotten Alchemy, and The Liberator of Polar Night as a new mainline Atelier entry that will be available in 2023 in Japan on PC via Steam and iOS Android mobile devices. An overseas release outside of Japan has yet to be announced as of this writing. This game will take place in a world where alchemy was last seen 150 years ago. The story will follow the trails of the protagonist, Resna. Ooh. I've never played Atelier games, so I'm sorry. These names are new to me.
I believe you would say that as Resna Sternenlich.
Sternenlich. She studies alchemy from her teacher Saskia and goes on a journey with her knight aspirant friend Asana, Kokoshuna, and the mysterious adventurer Roman.
Welcome to my world with pronouncing names, my good sir.
Oh, man. I mean, I know JRPGs have some great names, but that's... Protagonist sounds a little German.
It does.
That almost sounds like a German name, but then you end up with, Kokoshuka, which is very clearly Japanese. So, they included a few snippets of its gameplay scenes. Includes a main menu, which completely shows that this title will be a free-to-play mobile game with gacha microtransactions and it is completed with activity energy limit as well as in-game and premium currencies. So, what do you know about this series?
Atelier? I know that James was a massive fan of it. I know that it's gotten... I mean, it's always kind of been like a cult hit series as far as I've known it. But it's gotten more popular with the Atelier Ryza games that came out.
And those are on all the major systems, right?
Yes, I believe so. And I have not played an Atelier game yet. But from everything that I've been told, they're right up my alley because I love JRPGs. I love crafting. And they are a JRPG about crafting and doing alchemy. So it's like, it sounds up my alley. Now this, though,
throw fishing and houses into it and I'm in.
Do what?
Throw fishing and houses into it and I'm in.
Yes, exactly. Right? But I haven't delved into one yet. I don't think this will be my first because obviously, A, it's not coming out over here probably. And two, my goodness, what's wrong with me? And B, I don't know. I'm not a big mobile gamer, you know?
Yeah, me neither. I struggle with mobile games. I have a ton of them on my phone. Do any of them get opened? Not really.
Yeah, I've got a good bit of them, and I open like one and play it, and it's an idle game.
The fact that it's a gacha gives me a lot of pause. Because I got addicted to a gacha game. Dragalia Lost. Nintendo actually produced it. And it was a great, phenomenal gacha game. It was one of the only ones that I didn't mind sending them a little bit of money.
Yeah.
And they shut it down.
Man, see that.
So I had finally gotten these great teams. Mega Man was a character, because they did a crossover event with Mega Man. Marth from Fire Emblem was a character. Joker from Persona 5 was a character.
That was,
and so
I was gonna say, that was one of those games that they got me with the Persona 5 crossover that I downloaded it and installed it to get that and then never did.
Yeah.
And then just uninstalled it.
Yeah. No, it was a great game. I enjoyed it. It had autoplay mechanics, so you could just watch it do stuff without having to actually actively play. So my foster son was really young when I was playing, so a lot of the time I would be, coaxing him to sleep in one arm and I'd just be playing Dragalia on the other. And they shut it down. I've never played a gacha game since.
I'll tell you, people, and I know this isn't technically a Japanese game, but people, give Genshin Impact heck for being a gacha game. I've never felt, I won't say I haven't felt the urge because I have spent a little money on that game, but $10, I think, nothing major. But
you didn't feel like you
needed to.
Couldn't beat the game.
Yeah, I didn't feel like I needed to do that to progress because there are things that you can do in that game to earn the currency to get new characters. Now, is it going to take you a little longer than it would if you just dropped your money? Yeah, absolutely. But I haven't ran into any situations where I felt like, man, if I spent money, I could be doing way better at this.
Yeah.
So.
Is that your one mobile game?
No. I play Genshin Impact on PC because it looks ridiculously good. But I haven't played it in a while. My one mobile game is a game called Grimoire that was suggested to me by a JRPG Report Discord member, Kularian. We were talking about idle games. He recommended that. I recommended him Merchant without me thinking about no, Merchant's actually pretty in-depth. You have to, it can be where you just spend a little time on it here and there, but also you could also sit there and spend 2 hours on it if you want.
Wow.
But no, Grimoire, just incremental, watch numbers go up type game.
Now, Genshin, how do you stay engaged with that game? Do you treat it more like Breath of the Wild and sit there and play it for hours, or do you just give it little snippets?
Whenever I install Genshin and decide to dive in and play it, it depends on my mood. I very much treat that game in both ways. Where there are times where I'm like, oh, let me go explore. Like when they released their new region. I played for 2 or 3 hours just running around exploring and fighting enemies and stuff. I didn't really do any of the quests. And then there's other times I log in, I do my daily stuff, I go and I grab a few quests, run and do them, and then I log out and I'm done for the day. Because it's kind of depends on the mood I'm in. Because that is a very pretty game.
It is pretty.
It's very pretty.
Yeah. And I don't know, I've always attempted to get into it, and I usually just find myself running around aimlessly, killing a few bad guys, and then turning it off. So I haven't really progressed. Like, there was stuff I really wanted to do. They had an Aloy event if you played on PS4. I missed that. You could get basically where you can get her. I don't know. That was really it. That's what roped me in, and then I never. It's the same thing with you and Dragalia. I downloaded it to get Aloy, and then I never got Aloy.
Yeah, gotta love it.
Yeah. All right.
So let's see. This next one coming up. I have a few friends who I know are pretty hyped for this. Pokemon Scarlet and Pokemon Violet's downloadable. I almost said Pokemon Violent. Pokemon Violet. It's downloadable. I mean,
a lot of people are violent when it comes to how these games are sometimes.
Yeah, the Hidden Treasures of Area Zero Part 1, The Teal Mask, will launch on September 13th. The Pokemon Company and developer Game Freak have announced. The first adventure in the Hidden Treasure of Area Zero, the new downloadable content for the blockbuster Pokemon Scarlet and Pokemon Violet video games, will launch on September 13th, 2023. In Part 1, The Teal Mask, players take a school trip to the land of Kitakami, where they join an outdoor study program held jointly between their academy and another school. Players can look forward to meeting Pokemon not found in the Paldea region while unearthing the mysteries behind an old Kitakami folktale. Now, here's the big part that I saw that I feel like everyone that I know is hyped about. A special in-game event called Get Mew and Mewtwo will take place in Pokemon Scarlet and Pokemon Violet, marking the debut of the mythical Pokemon Mew and the legendary Pokemon Mewtwo in the Paldea region. Marking the debut. Man.
It is marketing, though.
It is marketing. You're very right. Beginning today through September 18th, 2023 at 7:59 a.m. PT, players can add Mew to their team by entering the password GetYourMew. And that's GETY0URMEW, all caps, in the mystery gift menu. In addition, a special Terra Raid battle event will take place between August 31st, 2023 at 5 p.m. PDT and September 17th, 2023 at 4:59 p.m. PDT or PT. In this event, players can challenge and catch a Mewtwo with the mightiest mark. Pokemon Scarlet and Pokemon Violet are available now for Switch.
So, Pokemons. I love the Pokemons.
I do too, man. I haven't played that game yet. Other than no, I haven't played it at all. So I need to, but man,
I would say there's no rush. Honestly, like I hope I don't alienate people by saying this. This is probably the hottest of takes. It was the first Pokemon game where I just got to the end and said, I'm good.
Oh, you didn't do any of the post content then?
I did the post content. Actually, I'm pseudo lying. I did the post content and I finished the Pokedex. But usually with me in a Pokemon game, and I did this with Sword and Shield. You get both versions. You play through each one. You get every Pokemon to 100 that's on your team. You raise a competitive team. And you do all the post content. And in Sword and Shield, I went through at least 2 competitive seasons.
Okay.
And so I have a veritable army in Sword and Shield. Like I loved that game to death. I did not do a single bit of competitive play with Scarlet and Violet. The game, it wasn't bad. It just had so many missteps. And actually, I'm hoping that DLC will fix it. Of course, I will play it. I will, be excited about it. But this was the first game in 20-something odd years of Pokemon that didn't keep my attention longer than was necessary.
See, the last one that I played, and I really enjoyed my time with it, I just haven't played it because the way I was playing it, I'll just put it that way, was the Arceus game, Legend of Arceus.
Okay.
Almost.
That's phenomenal.
And that game was awesome for what I played of it.
Oh,
yeah.
It's amazing. It's like, and they took a lot of stuff out of that. Like, there was no competitive. It was mostly a single player game. It was only one version as opposed to 2.
Yep.
So you could finish the Pokedex in that one game. Like, even the 250 Pokemon. Okay, it was still a blast. A lot of people complain about not having every single Pokemon. It gives them time to focus on the actual gameplay.
Yeah.
Instead of rendering 1,000 creatures.
Yeah, at this point, if you want a Pokemon game that's got all of those Pokemon in there, Go look at some of the fan hacks of the older games that are like Pokemon Fire Red, but there's 800 Pokemon in it, where people have created sprites for all of these new Pokemon, and they look amazing. Right. You're not going to get that from Game Freak, and you're not going to get that from the Pokemon Company, because they're looking to get a product out the door that's going to run properly, and it's going to have to run on the Switch. You know, if Nintendo eventually gets to a point where they release a system that's on par with the PlayStation 5 or the Xbox, then they might be able to do a Pokemon game that can render all 1,000 Pokemon that there are.
Which they're never going to do, because they always want to keep the cheap technology, because they want to keep prices down, because they want to keep their under 18 fan base.
Yep.
Which I understand.
Oh, absolutely. It's what they've done for years. It's a proven working thing for them.
But then you look at a game like Monster Hunter Rise, which has like maybe 50. I didn't play Sunbreak, but it's got something like 50 odd monsters, and they're all gorgeous. And they're beautifully rendered, and they're humongous. And then Pokemon almost looks like a cartoon next to that.
Yeah.
It's just, and it's nothing against the developers. It's just, it's hard when there's so many.
Yeah, and exactly, though. That's what I was going to say. Imagine if there was a Pokemon game that came out that only had 50 Pokemon. How well those 50 Pokemon would, well, in theory, could look, because they probably just give us what they'd usually give us and be like, here you go. But, I mean...
Yeah, but imagine like a Charizard where you can see every single scale.
I'd be all for it.
Imagine a Pikachu where you could like see the fur. Like, it's that well rendered.
Yeah, I would love it. I would love it. Well, maybe it'll happen in our lifetime. Who knows?
Who knows?
Maybe one day there will be a big catastrophic thing, and Game Freak and Nintendo and the Pokemon Company won't do business anymore, and it'll become a bidding war between Microsoft and Sony.
Man, I wish, but there are so many hands on Pokemon. There's Nintendo. Basically, there's Pokemon Company International, which is basically Nintendo, Game Freak, and whatever like smaller developers that they bought to bring out their other IPs to.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll get this. Bandai Namco made Pokken Tournament, which is a Pokemon fighting game that plays like Tekken, hence the name Pokken. Every single, and there's only like 20 something Pokemon in it. They're gorgeous.
Yeah.
They're beautiful.
That game looks really good, yeah.
Yeah, like, I know people complain about not having their full decks, but the more memory you have to rendering and graphics, the better your game is going to be. Arceus is proof of that.
Yeah, I don't disagree.
So speaking of Pokemon and graphics, this next story, Nintendo Switch Online adds the Pokemon trading card game, and Nintendo 64 Nintendo Switch Online adds Pokemon Stadium 2.
Now, my first question being, is the first Pokemon Stadium already on there? Or did they just go straight to 2? It is? Okay.
No, it is on there.
Okay.
And we'll talk. I actually do want to talk about a little bit about some of the downfalls of that. There's some. It's great that it's on there. But before I do that, let's talk about these two games. Pokemon trading card game. The greatest Pokemon trading card game players of all time, the Grandmasters, are looking for one player worthy of inheriting the 4 rare legendary Pokemon cards. Build new decks with the Auto Deck Machine, hone your skills on the Challenge Machine, and test your ability in the Challenge Hall. Expand your card collection, duel your way through 8 Club Masters, and earn the right to challenge the Grandmasters in the Pokemon Dome. Shadowy figures, wise instructors, and powerful opponents await in the ultimate trading card game adventure. With Pokemon Stadium 2, encounter hundreds of Pokemon in tremendous 3D. I guess 251 is hundreds. What's better than victory in a Pokemon battle? Victory in a 3D arena on Nintendo 64. See the Pokemon you've carefully trained, fully rendered in 3D, ready for battle, then prepare your strategy and stand back while your Pokemon battle it out. See Pokemon such as Ho-Oh and Pichu battling against old favorites like Mewtwo and Pikachu. Take on 21 Pokemon trainers in the Gym Leader Castle and try to win it all to become the Stadium Champion. Discover 12 all-new multiplayer minigames featuring Pokemon from Gold and Silver. Transfer Pokemon from the red, blue, yellow, silver, and gold versions of Pokemon for Game Boy, or play with rental Pokemon including in the game. Now, this is from Gamatsu, and Gamatsu got some things wrong.
So, I believe that is the description of the original Pokemon Stadium 2.
Oh, it does. It does say via the backs of their boxes. I'm sorry.
And I only say that because I don't think that there is a way to use your own teams on these games now, right?
No, not through Nintendo Switch Online, anyways. And actually, I remember they were specifically announced this, and I got hyped because I'm thinking that means that red, blue, yellow, gold, silver are going to come to the service. And so when I first watched the trailer, I assumed there was some magic, and that like right after that announcement, they were going to make another announcement. Instead, we get an asterisk. Pokemon cannot be transferred to these games.
That's a bummer too, because that was the big thing with Stadium.
Oh, I know, and especially in like Stadium 1 and 2, because you couldn't. This was at Stadium 1, they didn't have shinies, but if you nicknamed your Pokemon and you brought them into Stadium, they'd be a different color. Like a different shade of whatever color they were. And so you went into the mini games, it automatically detected your nicknamed Pokemon in your game, and when you went to play it, it showed the different color.
That's cool.
And same thing with Stadium 2, I think. I think if you had actual Pokemon when you went to play the mini games, it would use them. So you weren't just playing with like random Lickitung or whatever. That was your Lickitung sitting in your box, scooping up sushi. and I'm glad that it's a Nintendo Switch Online for the mini games alone.
They were great. They were great mini games in those.
They were like the Clefairy matching one, still one of my favorites.
But my question is, how hard would it be for them to put red, blue, yellow, gold, and silver on the Game Boy side of it, and then have some sort of back-end thing that when you load into Stadium, it just reads through your saves and pulls that file from Game Boy, and then you could load it up.
So my understanding is somebody's already done it. Somebody like with a modded Switch was able to mine the emulators that they use, and they figured out that not only is trading built into the online, because what they did was they hacked Pokemon Blue into the Switch Online on 2 Switches, and they were able to wirelessly connect and trade. So there is a back end in there for it already programmed. Nintendo just has to do it.
I wonder if they're saving that, like, for the next time they release a big flop or something, they'll be like, oh, well, we're making up for it. Here are the original Pokemon games that you guys love on the Game Boy online thing, and guess what? You guys can trade, and then they're back in the good graces. Like, let's say Legend of Zelda 3, the after the Tears of the Kingdom or whatever comes out, and it's a flop. It's not going to be, but let's just say it is.
It's not going to be.
That could be their ticket in, but I don't know.
Yeah, or they're delaying a new Pokemon game until whatever new system they have comes out, and so they'll say, well, yeah, we're delaying this game, but here you go, play some old ones.
Oh, no.
And Pokemon Stadium is hard with rentals.
Yeah.
Like, it is a straight up challenge.
Yeah, because you're not working with these move sets that you've curated to be the best that they can be. You're just getting what you're given most often.
Right. And half the time, like, the Pokemon with the better movesets, they're not fully evolved versions. Like, I remember going through Pokemon Stadium with rentals, and I had to use, like, a Kadabra and a Jigglypuff. So, yeah, they had the better movesets, but stat-wise, they were squishy.
Yeah. All right. Let's roll through to.
Yeah, sorry. I know. There's Pokemon stories. I could talk about Pokemon all night.
Hey, dude, we could do we'll do a Sunday special sometime on some Pokemon stuff. That'd be fun.
I would totally do that.
So this next news story coming up is a bit of a bummer. WrestleQuest, which is a JRPG inspired game about wrestling, coming out, has been delayed till August 22nd. Mega Cat Studios have delayed the release of WrestleQuest to August 22nd. The wrestling RPG was originally set to release on August 8th for the PlayStation 5, PlayStation 4, Xbox Series X and S, Xbox One, Nintendo Switch, and PC via Steam. But a critical saved game bug is cited as the reason for the delay. So, hey, you know what? I would rather them delay it and fix that than release a game that's giving people save issues, because that is like a death knell. So...
it's August 22nd. That's not too far from now.
No, not at all. Not at all.
Yeah.
I'm going to
This game...
definitely check this out, though.
I'm looking at the cover here. Why does the guy in the front look like Hulk? With the bandana and everything. He's got glasses and the bandana. I know it's not Hulk, but it...
Oh, are you talking about the
Why did I say Hulk?
The big face right there? That's Macho Man.
Oh, is that Macho Man?
So that's Macho Man, and then the two guys to the left, that's the Road Warriors. Then you got, I believe that's Sergeant Slaughter.
So are they actually the characters, or are they parodies?
That's a good question. I'm not sure. I know that Jeff Jarrett has a hand in making this game. So, like, it might be that they're actual...
If they're actual... I mean, it doesn't matter if they are or they're not. Like, I'll say these people know who these people are.
Yeah, it's gonna be rad. And it's turn-based JRPG.
I didn't know this game existed, and I didn't know this game existed until I heard about it on the JRPG Report, and I kind of want to play it now.
Dude, I know. It looks cool, man. If you're a wrestling fan and a JRPG fan, there you go.
I'm not really a wrestling fan, but it's got enough other stuff to suck me in.
Could be interesting, like a golf story ended up turning out.
Yeah, right? And people not interested in golf love that game.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
Speaking of fantastic, also from Gematsu, Persona 5 The Phantom X Awakening test begins August 18th. Publisher Perfect World Games and developer Blackwing's Game Studio will begin a second closed beta test, the Awakening test for Persona 5 The Phantom X on August 18th. The company's announced registration is available until August 14th, and a FAQ is available. What is this?
So this is a new phone game.
It's a phone game.
Yeah,
okay.
Developed for iOS and Android. Currently, the release date has only been confirmed for China. But it looks interesting. There's a new, I believe it's a whole new cast of characters, actually.
So it's not even... No, I don't see a single Joker in here. I see an owl instead of Morgana, but...
Yeah, and then the one girl looks like Makoto, but that's not Makoto.
That's not Makoto. No. So, I don't know too much about this. I am a Persona 5 fan, but I don't know too much about this specific game. But it doesn't look like it's coming out anywhere but China. Which is unfortunate, because it looks like it might be fun.
Yeah, and I'm sure it'll get released over here eventually. Like, they're going to ring out that Persona 5 cash cow as long as they can. Speaking of, Sega and Atlus have released a new trailer, new screenshots, and new information for Persona 5 Tactica. And I tell you, the first time I read Persona 5 Tactica, I was like, oh, somebody accidentally hit an A instead of an S when they were typing that. And then I realized that was the actual name of the game. And I was like, I wonder if they did that. And was like, yeah, we'll just roll with it. It sounds cool. Tactica. Sega and Atlus have released a new trailer, new screenshots, and new information for Persona 5 Tactica detailing Yoshiki, battle mechanics, difficulty settings, and the Repaint Your Heart DLC content. We are also getting a reintroduction to the rest of the Phantom Thieves. This trailer and details and screenshots can all be found via Atlus on YouTube. Persona 5 Tactica is set to release on November 17th for the PlayStation 5, PlayStation 4, Xbox Series X and S, Xbox One, Nintendo Switch, and PC via Steam. The Repaint Your Heart Challenge DLC pack is also included in the game's digital deluxe edition. Let's see. A stark contrast from the French Revolution vibe of Mari's Kingdom, the Phantom Thieves in Arena now find themselves in a kingdom reminiscent of mid-1800s Japan. Before they can even catch their breath, the Phantom Thieves see a woman in crisis, and while they successfully save her, they become wanted criminals in the process. According to Yuki, the woman that they saved, the kingdom's ruler, Yoshiki, is seen as a moral and loving leader, but she claims this is only a facade. In truth, the kingdom's citizens are subject to constant surveillance, excused by a need to watch over the citizens, and anyone who shows a whiff of dissent towards Yoshiki is captured and immediately taken away to perform labor under force. Joker and the team decide to stand up to Yoshiki. To do so, they must free the imprisoned citizens of military posts throughout the kingdom. To avoid the watchful eye of Yoshiki's legionnaires, whom he calls his Eisen Squad, the Phantom Thieves are led by Yuki to a local kimono shop. After disguising as a samurai, a geisha, and other citizens, the team decides to enact Toshiro's divisionary strategy as to escape with the imprisoned citizens unharmed. While the team's plan is successful, their joy is short-lived, though. Yoshiki descends from the sky, his serene demeanor now replaced with terrifying rage. Now the Phantom Thieves and friends will face the full might of this kingdom's ruler. And then there's some introduction.
And it looks like all the characters from Persona 5 Royal are here.
Yep, there's some introduction to characters and a bit into the battles, which I'm not going to lie. This looks like, to me, this reminds me of Disgaea, with a bit of Persona flair, which is cool. I'm cool with it.
I'm cool with it too. It reminds me a little bit more of Final Fantasy Tactics, but I don't know, maybe not.
I've never actually played Final Fantasy
Tactics. I'm looking at some of the screenshots. Yeah, I mean, I know it's called Tactica, but yeah, no, I could be wrong. I do like the chibi art style, though. The game itself, it does look good. I don't know if it's going to catch my attention on the same month that Mario RPG comes out, but...
Ooh, that's right. That is coming up soon.
Yeah, but the characters look so cute. I don't know. I might... I haven't actually played Royal. I've only played the original 5. So, the new character that they introduced is... I still don't know anything about her. But... I don't know. This looks cute. Speaking of cute...
Quick note, my good sir.
Oh, go ahead.
So the link about Grand Blue Fantasy, click that, get rid of that, because I thought that was about the Grand Blue RPG game. It's not. It's about the fighting game.
Oh. Okay, so you want me to do the Fate Samurai one?
Fate Samurai.
Okay. Fate Samurai Remnant, second trailer, Rogue Servants detailed. Publisher Koei Tecmo and developer Omega Force have released the second official trailer for Fate Samurai Remnant, as well as new information and screenshots introducing the game's rogue servants. There is a character named Archer. That's the class. It looks like the character's name is Zhane Chengong. And this character is a servant of the Archer class who is loyal, courageous, and fierce. He shows respect to his master and freely maneuvers his bow and arrow to help him in his battles. I am getting this completely wrong. It looks like the master is Zhang and the servant is Archer. And Archer is an archer. Also, Dorothea Koya is the master, and it looks like Assassin is the servant. And not much is known except he's a phantom in gray with long arms and legs that flex like whips. He is said to be able to summon and manipulate many servants as his subordinates. And then you have a rogue saber, who's a rogue servant of the saber class. He is an armored warrior who rides a gray horse and wields a large sword. He is in pursuit of an enemy called the Evil Ogre, whom he seeks to destroy. And then it kind of goes on from there. The article just talks about a lot of the different characters. I'm not quite sure how the whole master and servant thing works, but I'm guessing it's part of the Fate Samurai series.
So, I found it in the article. It's just buried, so here, I'll read it out. Fate Samurai Remnant will also feature a number of rogue servants throughout the game, and these highly powerful warriors do not have masters, and if you are able to form a bond with them, you will not only be able to temporarily borrow their powers, but some of them can even accompany you in battle. And while a few of these rogue servants have made appearances in past Fate series titles, like Rogue Lancer, Fate Samurai Remnant also introduces all new rogue servants to the Fate universe, like Rogue Rider.
Okay. So I'm guessing Rogue Servant is either a class or just a character.
I would assume so, because I don't know too much about the Fate series.
Me neither. And
if you're listening and you know, if you're in the know on the Fate series, please reach out to me somehow on Twitter and let me know, because I'd like to know.
X.
Where should I start with this? Oh yeah, on X. Excuse me.
X. Oh, Dawn Trail. Okay, go ahead.
So the next one we got coming up is more of an opinion piece, but I thought it would fit because it's pretty short. But this is written by James Galizio. So this is from the opinion of this guy. I love Final Fantasy XIV, and like any other player, I've been eagerly awaiting when we would get to learn more about the upcoming 7.0 expansion. And with the reveal of Final Fantasy XIV Dawn Trail, it has become abundantly clear that the main focus for next year's release will be tackling all of these little complaints the player base has had over the years. I'm not talking about the new story, or any of the new content that's slated to launch alongside the expansion, but rather updates and features that apply to specific aspects of the game. Adding in an additional die channel, allowing players to further customize their Warrior of Light's appearance, an increase in the amount of furniture that houses can hold, and, his favorite, a proper raid strategy planner, complete with visual indicators and all. Alongside the previously announced graphics update, which of course was also heavily showcased during the FanFest 2023 keynote, and the long-awaited Xbox console port, Square Enix and Creative Business Unit 3 have made it abundantly clear that Final Fantasy XIV is in it for the long haul. Furthermore, that the team is committed to honing in on the game's strengths, which is the glamour and housing, of course, while also making smart changes to improve existing weaknesses, like Party Finder. Perhaps it all stands out even more just seeing how similar the new content that Dawn Trail is slated to bring currently sounds remarkably similar to the slate of new content that was added with Endwalker. The requisite new dungeons, trials, and raids, a new deep dungeon, new variant and Criterion dungeons, new casual content similar to Island Sanctuary, and PvP and Gold Saucer updates. Endwalker also featured its fair share of housekeeping, of course. Across the life of the expansion, the team has made great strides to overhaul earlier content in order for duties and such as the dungeons from A Realm Reborn through Stormblood can be completed entirely solo with a set of trusts. The addition of the new residential district in the Imperium, new servers, data centers across the world, including the introduction of the first Oceania data center. All of that understandably got overshadowed by Endwalker's role in concluding a nearly decade's worth of story. While during the FanFest, we had Naoki Yoshida saying that as much that Dawn Trail as envisioned as sort of a quote-unquote summer vacation for players. While I'm sure it will set up the next phase of the game's story, the expectations have been set for whatever events happen in 7.0, and its patches likely won't feel as important as what has come before it, or at least not at the start. Part of me does wish that 7.0 could be a drastic reinvention of what has come before and take full advantage of the benefits that a new beginning might bring, much as A Realm Reborn so boldly did back in 2013. Yet I also fully understand that once a game has become as successful as 14 has, you have much less leeway to make such sweeping changes. So it appears that Dawn Trail prepares to blaze a new path for Final Fantasy XIV, not by revising what already works, but rather building upon what has made it successful in the first place.
So I'm an active subscriber right now, and I'm just getting to Endwalker. So I don't know how dark and deep that is. I know I just from finishing Shadowbringers, and I don't want to put spoilers in, it gets deep. And I'm pretty sure Endwalker is going to get even deeper. So I'm actually looking forward to Dawn Trail because my poor character needs a break.
Yeah, right? After everything your character goes through, it's like, yeah, please give us a summer vacation.
Yeah, so I'm very much okay with them dialing back the drama and going back to what made people want to play the game in the first place, which is you're a new adventurer out looking for adventures. So, new part of the world, that type of thing. So, I'm hyped for it.
All right. Well, then would you like to go to the next article, my good sir?
Sure. Eiyuden Chronicle 100 Heroes has been delayed to Q2 2024.
Ugh.
Publisher 505 Games and developer Rabbit and Bear Studios have delayed strategy RPG Eiyuden Chronicle 100 Heroes from its previously planned 2023 release window to Q2 2024. It will be available for PlayStation 5, Xbox Series, PlayStation 4, Xbox One, Switch, and PC via Steam, Epic, and GOG when it launches, as well as Xbox Game Pass. According to Rabbit and Bear Studios, the decision was made in order to ensure the best possible story and to reward the legion of Kickstarter backers with the best game experience possible. And then they also published a 3-minute gameplay video, which it looks... Go ahead.
I just want to say right off the bat, this is the first time, I think, since I've started when I took over the JRPG Report, that I've seen GOG get mentioned in an article. Like, good on them, because good old games, GOG. Like, I know I do a podcast called The Steam Machine, right? And we mostly cover things that we have on Steam. But I am constantly buying things again on GOG because GOG is DRM free. So when you buy that game, you own that game. If you want to download it and install it on a external hard drive and have it to play forever and never have to log onto the internet again, you can do that. And it's just tremendous.
Yeah. I actually have a copy of Sid Meier's Alpha Centauri on GOG. And it's the only way to play that game now because it's so old. Mm-hmm. It has to be downloaded with like compatibility layers and all that. But I could get it on my Mac, which is phenomenal because I could just sit and play that game all day. I haven't recently, but GOG's good for a lot of things. Yeah. DRM free, and then actually taking some of these old games and making them compatible.
Yeah, because they'll take the like super old games and pre-configure the DOSBox for you. So when you install it and run it, it just automatically runs DOSBox what it needs to do and loads the game up.
Right.
Which is so nice.
I have to check and see if there's like a couple of old games on there, because there's an old Star Trek game I used to play that I still have the disc for, but obviously it's not going to work on any modern computer.
But yeah, man, Eiyuden Chronicle, I know there's a lot of people hyped for this because this is like the spiritual successor to Suikoden, right? So it's going to have like the 100 characters that you can get and things like that. But I don't mind that it got delayed because I'm always of the mind that if they're going to delay it, it's because they need to fix something.
Right.
And if they...
It's not like there's any shortage of games out there, especially RPGs.
Yeah. So this is going to come out when it's ready and just like be happy that they're taking the time to do that instead of just pushing out a product to get the money, so.
We've seen what happens when companies do that. Yeah. They release broken games and then you have complaints on the other end.
Yes, sir. So these next few...
All right.
I'm going to run through real quick because I think they're all by the same, and I don't know anything about them, but they're all by the same publisher.
And yes, they are. And they're all different games, but they must have had some kind of announcement.
Yeah, they must have done like a
showcase or something.
Yeah, it had to have been. So Bushiroad Games and Lankars have released a teaser trailer for Mushoku Tensei, Jobless Reincarnation, Quest of Memories. So it was originally announced for January 2023 as an RPG set to release for PlayStation 4, Nintendo Switch, and PC. Today's teaser trailer adds PlayStation 5 to the list of platforms and showed off some of the series' characters and locales, which can be found in the video. I did retweet this if you'd like to check this out over at JRPG Report on Twitter/X, whatever it is now. A release date and English localization, though, has not been announced for this game. They also, publisher Bushiroad and developers Apollosoft and Mebius, have released the second trailer for Goblin Slayer, Another Adventurer, Nightmare Feast. The strategy RPG is set to release this winter for Nintendo Switch and PC via Steam, and the game will support English. A little bit about this game. Goblin Slayer's first console game, titled Goblin Slayer, Another Adventurer, Nightmare Feast, is currently in development. The original creator of the series, Kumo Kagyu, is in charge of the original concept and series composition, whilst the main character designs are being handled by Noboru Kanatsuki, who also worked for the original series. The game will feature a new story set in the four-cornered world with original characters. The game will be a tactical RPG, in keeping with the style of Goblin Slayer, where players will have to consider the positioning of their units on the battlefield as well as the strengths and weaknesses of both allied and enemy units. The game is currently in development with a release planned for this winter. Further updates will be provided as they become available. Stay tuned for more information. And a little bit of the story overview for you, ladies and gents. The heroine of this work is a young girl who takes over the operation of the Adventurers Guild in place of her deceased father, the Lord, and becomes the guild master in a remote land, while also actively participating as an adventurer herself. During her adventures, she encounters a vampire girl, the Blood Princess, and meets many other companions, but one day, she discovers a peculiar small box in her late father's study. The true nature of this small box is an artifact believed to possess the power of resurrecting the dead in this land. As the protagonist and her party get entangled in the desires of those seeking the resurrection of the dead, revolving around this small box, will they be able to bring an end to the series of events? Tune in next week and find out on Dragon Ball Z.
Let's say you got all narrator on me. I kind of liked it.
Yeah, I always try to do story overviews with a bit of a narrator voice, as much as my voice can handle right now.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, I mean, so this one sounds interesting too. I like a good tactical RPG, and the sprites look beautiful.
I was just going to say, the sprites, I love classic sprites. Like, give me sprite art over modern CGI any day. Maybe I'm just too old.
Or a good mix of it, which we'll get to here in a little bit. But the last Bushiroad game was from Bushiroad and developer Hakama, which is the developer of Rune Factory 5. They have released the first trailer for Rear Sakai, along with the game's opening movie. So Rear Sakai was originally revealed in January of 2023 as an action RPG helmed by Rune Factory veteran Rune Factory veteran Yoshifumi Hashimoto. The game features many components familiar to the Rune Factory series, such as action RPG combat and a cast of townspeople to interact and develop relationships with. Rear Sakai also introduces a dual world phenomenon where the protagonist wakes up in a more contemporary setting, and he or she must discover the secret of the two worlds. The footage and screenshots can be found below, which I did retweet this if you're interested. Rear Sakai is set to be released on October 12th in Japan for the Nintendo Switch, but an English localization, unfortunately, has not been announced yet. And I say unfortunately, because that sounds right up my alley.
It sounds phenomenal.
Rune Factory is really good if you've never played them.
I played a little bit of 4. I have it on Steam. And I just got Rune Factory 5 for the Switch on the cheap. And they are great games. It's just time-wise, I always end up dropping off of them.
Yeah.
But Rune Factory 4 especially, there's something about that game. Like just the it's not isometric, it's more like Legend of Zelda type, like overhead.
Yeah.
And I don't know, there's just something charming about that game. So to have something that's similar, like there's the pictures here in the art, like this is charming. Like I would play the heck out of this game.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm right there with you, and I'm like, please localize this, or someone fan translate it.
Yeah, even if it doesn't come out until next year, like I don't mind waiting, but this is the first I'm hearing of it, and it captured me in every way possible.
Yeah, and I would like to see it come out on something other than just the Switch, but I would be okay with it coming out on just the Switch. You know what I mean? That would be fine.
Well, PC Steam would probably be ideal.
I mean, I feel like that should be the go-to for everyone. You're going to release it on your priority console, but then also on PC, because like there's no reason to not make that money, because PC's not in the console war. There is no, it's like PC has no beef. They're Sweden, right? Or Switzerland, whichever one it is. They stay out of it.
Yeah, they're Switzerland.
They're like, no, just give us the goods, and we're going to stay out of this.
And plus, so that now we have a growing handheld PC market, like actual PCs with controllers attached to them, and a screen in the middle.
Yeah.
Like, there's no reason to not release something on PC.
Yeah, it's just...
Unless you're Nintendo and you still want to sell hardware, but... Like, even Sony is releasing all their stuff on PC.
Yeah. And you know what? It's because they're realizing there's money in that. It's like when Atlas released the Persona games, they're like, oh yeah, they're coming to PC. And then people bought up Persona 5 Royal and Persona 4 when they released Persona 4. And all of a sudden, they're like, oh, all right. So yeah, we're going to release all these Persona games. And now they just need to give us two in one.
And then they threw them up on Game Pass.
Yeah, that too. And which was a whole other legion of people that came into play.
They're super hyped. So now you're getting the knowledge of your series out to a ton of people. Like, there's no reason not to play a Persona game now.
Yeah, I agree. So you want to roll into the Ease news, my good sir?
Yeah, let's roll with the Ease news, because there's two stories. And they're both on Ys 10 Nordics. And it looks like this first story has screenshots that detail Momina, Rome's, Joel, Ashley, Erval, runestones, fishing, and the Sandras. So Falcom, as well as Asian publisher Clouded Leopard Entertainment, have released new information and screenshots for Ys 10 Nordics, detailing new characters, as well as runestones and fishing. Ys Nordics is set to release on PlayStation 5, PlayStation 4, and Nintendo Switch in Japan on September 28th. And again, unfortunately, an international release has not been announced. And then this article does give links to a whole bunch of other ones.
Yeah, I will say, go ahead and scroll past the characters, because if anybody wants to read about the characters, by all means, click on this link that I did retweet and come read about them. But there's a lot, so let's just go to the runestones and fishing and stuff, which is down a little bit below.
That's the meat of what people really want to know here. Huge stone monuments left behind by the ancestors of the maritime people, the Normans, depicting their achievements and major events. Runestones are scattered throughout Obelia Bay, and the stories they contain can be read by Adol and Karja using their mana power. Discover more about Karja and the Baltan Navy's origins by taking a glimpse into Obelia Bay's past as told by the Normans who sought new lands, then plundered and invaded them. When reading the stories within the runestones in each location, mana seeds are obtained through the resonance of mana power. Mana seeds are needed to learn abilities in Adol and Karja's growth system, the release line, so you can boost your selected character's traits by exploring Obelia Bay and discovering more runestones.
I want to point out real quick, in these screenshots that they're showing, man, they've done really well with the character designs on this one.
They are pretty.
They look real crisp.
Yeah. Adol and Karja can also fish in the field in dungeons whenever you see the shadow of a fish on the water surface. Select your bait and location, then get ready to land the big one. When you get a hit, the fishing gauge will appear at the top of the screen. Max it out to reel in your catch. During your voyage across the Sandras, fishing spots may randomly appear at various locations in Obelia Bay. By approaching these spots, you could try your hand at deep-sea tuna fishing on board the ship, in addition to regular fishing from land. While fishing and tuna fishing, the support gauge is filled by successfully completing actions displayed on screen. Activating support when the gauge is at maximum will trigger a cooperative effect with your friends and greatly increase your success rate. Fish caught during fishing or tuna fishing events will be recorded in your adventure logbook. Report your catches to Joel, who loves fishing, and you might earn some new equipment for your efforts. And it looks like the Sandras is actually your ship, or a ship that you're on.
I believe so, yes.
So, in this game, let's actually go to the next story, because I'm very curious to see if there's more information on that.
Yeah, for sure.
So, they also released a trailer with a video overview of cross-action and on mana actions. I know I keep flipping between mana and mana. Asian publisher Clouded Leopard Entertainment has released a new trailer for Ys 10 Nordics, introducing the game's cross-action and mana actions. The video goes over the following elements. Cross-action, solo mode, control either Adol or Karja during battle, automatically evade while using dash moves to keep your enemies guessing. Dual mode, control both Adol and Karja at the same time, use Just Guard and Revenge to gain the upper hand in battle. Mana actions, highlight attack, occurs when you automatically evade or use Just Guard against a specific enemy, attacks with a flashy effect. String, swing on mana strings to reach faraway places. Oh, like a grappling mechanic. You can also move objects and flip switches in dungeons. Glide across the ground on your Grimble board, cross perilous terrain at exhilarating speeds. And burst, charge and release bursts of mana energy. Switch between flame and ice attacks depending on the target. And then it repeats that in Japan it's coming out on September 28th. And there's a link to a bunch of videos here that demonstrate all of that.
I also love all the hyperlinks at the end of this that says, read more about the game here, 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 and here.
There's apparently a lot to learn about this game. Why do I feel like this is going to be like their... I don't want to say their Breath of the Wild, but maybe their Assassin's Creed Black Flag of Ys.
That was kind of the vibe that I was getting, is that if they're going to open up the ship stuff more, that's cool. I'm looking forward to that because, man, I really have enjoyed all the Ys games that I have put time into. I played through 8. I haven't beat it. I know, shocker, everyone's shocker, but like the time I've put into 8, Ys 8 is phenomenal, and the soundtrack. That first, when you get to the island in the beginning of Ys 8 and you're starting your adventure as Adol, this song starts playing. And I can't think of the name of it right offhand. But it is like the epitome to me of a song that lets you know you're about to start an adventure. Sunshine Coastline. That's what it's called. Sunshine Coastline. It's so good.
Are we talking like a Simple and Clean type introduction song?
No.
Better?
This is no vocals. This is just something that's playing in the background as you're running around doing your thing. I'll send it to you when we're done recording.
Yeah.
You can listen to it.
Wow.
It's so
You're going to
good.
make me want to play the game then, and I've got to start Baldur's Gate so bad.
Ooh, yeah, Baldur's Gate. That's a whole other conversation.
Not a JRPG, but man, I can't wait to start it.
But so we'll roll on through this guy.
Yeah, sorry. Again, Ys is another series that I could talk about forever just because of my interest in it. I have yet to play a Ys game other than 3 for the Super Nintendo. But just the fact that they've released so many games and they all feature the same guy at different points of his life, and it's pretty disjointed, right? Like, it's not all chronological.
No, because it's like you can go and look it up and it'll be like, yeah, so Ys 8 takes place between Ys 2 and Ys 4. And like, these weird things like that. So yeah, the games are all out of order, but I really enjoy that it's like it's like playing through a season of an anime in a way, where it's like you come back to this character and you're like, okay, Adol, what shenanigans are you up to this time?
Or like a book series where like it's the same character, but it's a different adventure.
Yeah. And I love it because you play through these games, and yeah, don't get me wrong, I love these games where you can create your character. But there's something to be said about a character that you grow attached to. It's kind of like I'll use Geralt from the Witcher games. You kind of grow attached to him over the 3 games because it's all him, as opposed to say Final Fantasy, where you can get as attached as you want to Cloud, but in Final Fantasy 8 you're not playing as Cloud, you're playing as whoever else is in that party because they don't link like that. So I've always really appreciated the Ys series for always having Adol and being like, all right, what's he up to now?
Even in the Zelda games, it's not the same Link.
Yeah, it's different timelines and all this weird timey-wimey
nonsense. Yeah. Oh, we said timey-wimey at the same time.
Yeah.
Oh. So that's what's getting me into Ys, is because it's Adol. It's not an alternate universe Adol. It's not a different timeline Adol. It's Adol. Like, this is just a different adventure at a different point in his life. It almost takes you back to Greek mythology, to like the 12 labors of Hercules, like all at different points in his life, but same Hercules.
Yeah, exactly, dude. And I love it. It's good storytelling, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree. Like, you could even argue that Trails is like that too. It's Estelle at different points in her life.
Yep. So far. Which, by the way, everyone listening, Steam Machine Podcast, our episode about our Trails in the Sky first impressions is up. So if you want to go check that out, Trails in the Sky second chapter. I don't know if I said that. If I did, I don't know. My brain is so foggy from being sick, but that is up. And then in 2 weeks, we are going to be putting out our full episode on it. But it was, man, oh boy.
Did you beat it yet?
Me, no, not yet. I'm in chapter 5, and I believe there's 9 chapters.
Well, you're getting
so I'm
there.
almost there. I got to put down Baldur's Gate 3.
Yeah, that's going to be
Trails
a
up again.
challenge.
But Trails, it's getting so good. I am so intrigued as to what is going on in that world. I almost just cursed there. That's how.
Be careful.
That's how into that I am. I'm like, what is happening? I messaged MasterLoot, one of the Steam Machine Discord members, and he's a patron of the JRPG Report too, as well. So I do appreciate you, MasterLoot.
Shout out to MasterLoot.
Yeah, big shout out, man. I messaged him at the end of chapter 3, and I won't give away anything. I just wrote him and was like, "Oh my god, bro," and he just writes back, "Yeah, I know, right?" It was one of those situations where it was like I didn't even really have to tell him. I just said end of chapter 3, and he's like, "Yeah, it's getting real."
I had that moment with a friend of mine when I was playing through Heaven's Word, and he was ahead of me, and I got to the part where Thornton kills Harushafant.
I was just about to say, is it where what's his face gets murked? Yeah.
Yeah. Which I'm sorry if I spoiled that for anybody who hasn't played Final Fantasy 14, but I literally texted him in all caps curse words. and then sent him the Darth Vader no. And he's just smiling at me. He's just getting a big old kick out of it. He's like, right? Oh.
Dude. So
we got a few more news items left.
Yeah, we're rolling through. There's got a handful left. NIS America has released a new trailer for Disgaea 7 Vows of the Virtuous that shows off a handful of new features in the newest entry in the Disgaea series. Jumbification turns characters into a giant so big that they can't even fit on the battlefield anymore. They instead stand off to the side watching over everyone fighting and occasionally smash it to attack. Meanwhile, some characters can access Hell Mode via filling up their Hell Gauge to access the full potential of their demonic weapons. Once they enter Hell Mode, they can fire off some very powerful attacks. Disgaea 7 will include a whopping 45 different classes for players to experiment with. Its 4 new classes include the Mako, the Bandit, the Big Eye, and the Zombie Maiden. While the other 3 are self-explanatory at first glance, the Big Eye is, as well, a floating octopus-like monster with a gigantic eye and a lot of tentacles. If there's one thing Disgaea doesn't do, it's take itself seriously.
It doesn't look it just from the thumbnail for the trailer.
Other features the trailer quickly lists off are item reincarnation, demonic intelligence, online ranked battles, and more. They broke down what item reincarnation was in an earlier trailer that you can find in this link that I retweeted. Disgaea 7 Vows of the Virtuous launches for the PlayStation 5, PlayStation 4, Nintendo Switch, and PC via Steam on October 3rd. What do you know about Disgaea, Mikolov?
Very, very little.
Very little? Okay, so...
Actually, almost nothing.
It is a tactical RPG game, right?
Okay.
Or strategy, tactical, it's grid-based combat. Disgaea's whole thing is numbers. I believe the max level now is something ridiculous like 999 million.
Oh, jeez. Okay.
But
that's extreme.
Yeah, it's some ridiculous amount that you can get to. It might be 99,000, but still. The thing with Disgaea is...
I'm hoping you can get to that quickly.
You can pump out billions of damage in this game.
Oh dear.
So that's Disgaea's whole thing. It's just really big numbers. Like you hit somebody and you're doing 1.4 billion damage.
And it's all like all the zeros show up on the screen, I'm sure.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Right above their head. Just
I've got to imagine the amount of time, artwork, and rendering it takes to get the numbers right is probably just as much as the characters.
And Disgaea is also very funny. It's a funny game as well. So like it's a good series, man. I enjoy it. You can pick up some of the older Disgaeas for pretty cheap on Steam.
So if you're just looking to just have a lighthearted adventure story with some turn-based,
yeah.
I'm guessing?
Yeah.
Some turn-based gameplay, then check out Disgaea.
Yeah.
I might actually check it out just based on that thumbnail because it looks very cartoony.
Now I know they've recently switched. I think Disgaea 6 was the first one to go into the 3D realm. But okay. I know I have Disgaea 5, Disgaea 4, Disgaea 1, and Disgaea 2 on Steam, and they're all 2D, sprite-based, but just fantastic. And like I said,
I think the first one might have been PlayStation 1.
PS2, I believe. PS2.
Was it 2? Wow.
I believe it was.
I mean, even then they were still toying with 2D, but not as often.
No, and that's the thing about like when you got a PS2 game that was still sprite based, usually those sprites were like, man, look at these.
Look, right?
Look how good this
I never owned a PS2 game, but going back and playing some of them through emulation, like Gradius 5, 2D shmup, jeez, is it gorgeous.
Yeah, it looks incredible.
It It looks incredible compared to, like, NES. Well, anything looks incredible compared to NES, but still.
All right.
So, do you want to do the next two? Because I know how hyped you are for this series.
Yeah, I can do that, sure.
Okay.
So, Bowman Jin and Precis Newman are the latest Star Ocean the Second Story R characters to get their own teaser trailers. Both are potential party members for both Claude and Rena stories. Precis is an inventor who works with machines, while Bowman is a pharmacist who uses Qui-Gon martial arts. Both characters are from the town of Linga, and you can only recruit one or the other in-game. So if you pick Precis, Bowman will stay in Linga running the pharmacy. So the whole thing with Star Ocean Second Story specifically is that there are, like, I think 80-something endings, and they all depend on different party members that you pick up throughout the game. And again, like, some you can get, some you can't get. You can't get everyone in one playthrough. So it's very much a kind of how Baldur's Gate 3 has been being for me. But first, here is Bowman's Star Ocean the Second Story R trailer. It begins with him at a clinic, and in the second one, he's talking to Rena about his wife, Nine. And if you'd like to watch these, by the way, I did retweet this as well. After that, we see him in a battle using the Neck Snap, Phoenix Talons, and Metal Fury abilities. And then next up is the other trailer, which is for the Precis Star Ocean, the Second Story R. It begins with her asking Rena if Claude has a girlfriend. Ooh. After that, we get to see her official introduction. For the battle gameplay portion, we get to see her robot Robbie use Robbie's super beam. Then she hops inside of it to perform Frank and Robbie. From there, she uses Parabola Beam and Rocket Punch. And in case you missed some of the past Star Ocean Second Story R character teasers, there are some available too as well for Ashton Anchors, Selena Jules, Claude C. Kenny, and Rena Lanford. Star Ocean the Second Story R will come to Switch, PS4, PS5, and PC November 2nd, 2023. Day one purchase for me. The art style that they chose for this, I am just over the moon about, where they did beautiful 3D rendering for all the worlds, but kept this 2.5 HD sprites for the actual characters and stuff. It just looks so good. It's such a cool contrast.
Does. Yeah, like, it's, you would think it wouldn't, but it actually looks beautiful.
Yeah, it's definitely, like, different, but, like, in a good way. But Square Enix has also offered another update on what people can expect from the return of Star Ocean the Second Story. This time it has to do with the music. It confirmed that Star Ocean the Second Story R's soundtrack will include some new songs. However, they will be from composer Motoi Sakuraba again. Here's the official announcement, which confirmed the soundtrack will be rearranged with new and remixed songs, and it also featured photos of Sakuraba working on the game. Motoi Sakuraba acted as the composer for the Star Ocean series since the original Super Famicom game. He also worked on spin-offs like Star Ocean, Blue Sphere, and Anamnesis? Yeah, I think that's right. Prior to returning to the Star Ocean Second Story R soundtrack, he worked on the Divine Force new entry. The announcement was, we are bringing a fresh feel to familiar music. The entire original soundtrack has been rearranged by original composer Sakuraba with new and remixed tunes in Star Ocean The Second Story R, in case you were wondering. Basically what it already said. And again, this game is coming out November 2nd for Switch, PS4, PS5, and PC. The game can also be immediately found on PlayStation and PSP worldwide for the PS3, PS4, and Vita in Japan.
So you can... I think you could still get PSP and Vita games. I don't think they ever shut it down. They were going to, but they didn't.
I believe so. I know that. So the original Star Ocean Second Story came out on PlayStation. The original PlayStation.
Right. Then
they did Star Ocean the Second Story R, which was a PSP game. They did the first game and the second game. Then they released the Switch only, mind you, re-release of the first remake. So I'm just like, where's the second story? I've been waiting for this. I've been waiting and waiting.
And here it is.
And finally it's coming, and they're putting it on PC. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Yes. So day one purchase for you. I know. And it does look good. And I'm glad they're redoing the soundtrack, and I'm glad that they got the same guy to do it.
Yeah, I think that's going to help a lot because, you know, that original feeling will be there for them since he wrote them originally. So
they did that with Live Alive, which was out on Super Nintendo in Japan, never came here, and then they finally released it here for the Switch, and now it's on Steam. But they did the same thing. They brought the original composer in, and people love that game. People who have never heard of that game love that game. So I'm thinking this is going to bring a whole new audience into Star Ocean, if it hasn't already.
All right, you want to read this next one?
Yeah, this is another thing that you might get hyped for. Which, if there's a way that we could somehow do this on Discord, I would totally do it. Nihon Falcom partners with Promethean Books to bring The Legend of Heroes and Ys to the tabletop. In a surprise announcement, Nihon Falcom's arguably two biggest properties, The Legend of Heroes Trails and Ys series, are getting the tabletop treatment next year thanks to developer Promethean Books. The partnership was revealed on their Twitter/X account this afternoon, with The Legend of Heroes Trails of Destiny and Ys Age of Heroes both expected next year. While details on both are still rather scarce, the announcement was still able to provide a peek as to what players can expect. Ys Age of Heroes will be a more traditional fantasy fair setting, letting players create new heroes that are striving to follow in Adol's footsteps and adventure across the various lands the video games take place in. Trails of Destiny, being a bit earlier in development, will have a more modern aesthetic, tasking players to deal with and navigate the political turmoil and corruption in Zemeria while discovering its secrets. Both games will be adapting Promethean Books' in-house TTRPG system, known simply as the Promethean system, which is present in other games of theirs, including the Curseband Chronicles. More will be revealed in the coming months as development progresses leading up to these games' releases sometime in 2024. Now, when they say tabletop, are they talking like a tabletop board game, or are they actually doing Ys and Legend of Heroes Dungeons and Dragons style campaign games?
No. Yeah, they're TTRPGs, so that's going to be a tabletop role-playing game. So it is going to be D&D, but in the style of these games.
Okay, so we can totally do that in Discord.
Yeah, absolutely.
Imagine like us and like Nate and Willie, even Jeremy, just like getting together every couple weeks and just freaking playing tabletop Trails.
Oh, dude, yeah. And I would be putting it up on Patreons and being like, yo, y'all listen to this and see if you like it. Because I've been wanting to do a series like that anyway, and record them and put them up on Patreon. But at the same time, like, have those. So if, like, say this COVID kicked my butt and I wasn't able to record the Steam Machine this past week, I could have put out like episode 0 or 1 of that instead. And it would have helped things. It'd have been like, hey, if you like this, come check out the Patreon.
Yeah, and it's one of us telling a story and putting scenarios, and the others yelling at each other and arguing.
Yeah, 100%. Like every D&D session.
Yeah, pretty much.
But yeah, man, I would love.
Which is actually, one reason to play Baldur's Gate, because you get Dungeons and Dragons without the toxic players.
Yes, sir.
Not to say I'm a toxic D&D player, because I'm not.
I'm hyped for both of these. The worlds of Ys would be sweet, and then the Trails. There's so much intrigue that you can build into the Trails games with all of the things that are going on in their world space. So,
and hopefully these books will have like pre-written campaigns.
Yeah, I'm assuming they will. Yeah. I'm sure also people will come up with their own things as well.
Oh, I'm sure, because usually what happens is they lay the groundwork and then let the DMs roll with it.
Yeah. All right. So rolling through, we only got a couple left. Sea of Stars is coming out soon and will be available as a PlayStation Plus game catalog title for PlayStation Extra and Premium members on launch day. Developer Sabotage Studio has announced a demo is now available for both PlayStation 5 and the PlayStation 4. This Japanese-inspired turn-based RPG was previously confirmed as a day one launch title for Xbox Game Pass. Well, now PlayStation is also like, yeah, we can do that too. When it launches on August 29th. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I just said now that they have their own service.
Yeah. When it launches on August 29th, Sea of Stars will be available for PlayStation 5, Xbox Series, PlayStation 4, Xbox One, Switch, and PC via Steam and Microsoft Store. I do not recommend anyone buy it from the Microsoft Store. The demo was previously released for all platforms except PlayStation. For more, check out today's PlayStation blog post in which Sabotage Studio had designer Philip Dione go into detail about how the game evolves traversal. But yeah, so if you want to check this out, the demo, go check it out. Sea of Stars. I think this is the one that's supposed to be heavily inspired by like Chrono Trigger and games like that. So
I was gonna say I'm getting Chrono Cross vibe actually from looking at the picture here, just because I remember in Chrono Cross seeing a lot of scenes where you'd be crossing a bridge and you'd see like all this stuff in the background.
And that is a beautiful screenshot.
It really is.
So like
with the sun going down and the different colored buildings, which that's a part of like the real world where they have like buildings like that.
Yeah, 100%, dude. Where they just built them into the side of the mountain.
Yeah, so that's really neat. Like that looks like a world I want to explore.
For sure.
And it's coming out August 29th in the West. I don't think it said that it was coming out in Japan only. We're getting this.
Oh yeah, that is a Western developed game.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, it's just JRPG inspired.
Oh, it does say that, yeah.
But yeah, but in any case, I think it's releasing worldwide on August 28th. So I'm stoked for it, dude.
Yeah. The problem with like all these great games coming out is they're all RPGs, so they're all time sinks.
Believe me, if I had my way with Steam Machine, we would only play RPGs because there's so many I want to play.
So many. But if you did that, I would end up permanently being on Steam Machine because they'd all be ones I want to play.
That's fair.
I don't want to crowd up that podcast on you.
All right, man. I'll let you handle the next news story.
All right. Infinity Strash. Dragon Quest, The Adventure of Dai. Screenshots. Detail battle styles. Square Enix has posted new screenshots and information for Infinity Strash. Dragon Quest, The Adventure of Dai, detailing the battle styles of the game's 4 playable characters. Dai, Pop, Mam, and Hyunkel. We also had a chance to check out Infinity Strash, Dragon Quest, The Adventure of Dai at this year's Anime Expo. And you can check out James's preview, and it's linked, of the action RPG. The new details and screenshots are via Square Enix. Today, Square Enix revealed more details and assets highlighting the various battle styles of the playable characters, Dai, Pop, Mam, and Hyunkel, in the upcoming action role-playing game Infinity Strash Dragon Quest The Adventure of Dai. That name is a mouthful. I'm just going to say Infinity Strash from now on.
There you go.
They embark on a thrilling quest battling the Dark Army and their myriad monsters as Dai and his friends, utilizing each character's unique set of attacks, guarding and dodging abilities against the enemy, as well as iconic skills and spells from the Dragon Quest The Adventure of Dai anime series. The disciples of Avan, Dai, Pop, Mam, and Hyunkel each have a number of unique attacks, skills, and coup de grace abilities players will soon be able to master. The attacks and skills include Dai's battle style, as Dai cut down enemies in close combat using knives and swords. Unique skill, be sure to use his unique skill Draconic Aura to greatly increase all of his stats. And he is also master of the Avan style sword technique, using his powerful skill Wave Slash and coup de grace Avan Strash to defeat enemies. As Pop, you excel in defeating enemies with ranged magic attacks. His unique skill Meditation shortens the recovery time between each of his skills, and he deals immensely powerful damage to enemies while using his skill Crackle and his coup de grace Kafriz. Dragon Quest with their
I love it.
Great naming schemes for spells.
I love it.
Mam's Warrior Priest battle style. She has a hammer spear, and she supports her allies with a magic bullet gun. She's got a hammer and a gun.
Yeah, she's not to be toyed with.
Her unique skill is to reload the gun. And then she also uses mid-heal, and then uses Magic Bullet Crackle, where she shoots enemies with bullets infused with the magic of Crackle, which is another Dragon Quest skill, but they put spells in her bullets.
Yeah.
And she heals. She's literally a warrior priest. She'll heal you, and she'll mess you up. Hyunkel crushes enemies with his Avan-style sword technique and Dark Aura skills. So his unique skill, Amdo, increases his defense further by wearing the Dark Armor Blade. And his coup de grace is called Bloody Scride, that he developed during his days in the Dark Army, and it deals massive damage to enemies. As players progress through the story, new battle styles will become available to all the characters to help Dai in his adventure. offering even more skills and coup de grace abilities to master. And so basically, Mam and Hyunkel get more powerful stuff. And then players who purchase the digital deluxe edition are going to receive the full game and the following items: legendary mage outfit for Pop, legendary priest outfit for Mam, legendary martial artist outfit for Man, a legendary swordsman outfit for Hyunkel, and a legendary warrior outfit for Hyunkel. Infinity Strash is now available for digital pre-orders and pre-purchase on PS5, PS4, Xbox, and PC via Steam and the Microsoft Store. Pre-orders for the Nintendo Switch version will be available at a later date. Players who pre-order or pre-purchase the game will also receive Dai's special outfit, Legendary Hero, and the Bomb Memory, the hero's tutor. And I just checking to see if I read a release date, and I don't think I did. But it looks like it is up for pre-order. It looks like 28th of September in the US. Actually, everywhere. 28th of September.
All right, so not too much longer to wait for that one, about a month or so, a month and a half.
No, and it's different, but for Dragon Quest it's very different, but it's actually pretty cool. Like, just the screenshots alone, like, the characters seem to be well developed, and I don't know, just that warrior priest, like, gun and hammer. Hammer spear, I'm sorry. Gun and hammer spear.
Yeah, awesome.
And heal. So in other words, just play as her.
Yeah, for real.
The others don't matter.
And then speaking of dragons, our final story today, Dragon Ball Z Kakarot's DLC number 5. The 23rd World Tournament launches on August 17th. Bandai Namco has announced this DLC offering is the second for Season Pass 2, which also includes a yet-to-be-revealed 6th story arc DLC. The first Season Pass, which is now fully available, includes the DLC expansions of A New Power Awakens Part 1 and Part 2, and Trunks, the Warrior of Hope. The fourth DLC, Bardock, Alone Against Fate, released in January of 2023. And yeah, so this is going to be coming soon. Apparently it's just another saga in this. I like what they've been doing with Kakarot, where it's just like you're playing an RPG as Goku, and they just keep adding DLC that's more parts of the show. So it's pretty cool. So
they don't have the whole show then. They don't have like the Buu saga and stuff like that, because I know Dragon Ball Z ends with Buu.
Let me Google that real quick and make sure I'm not telling you lies.
Yeah. Well, I only think that's what it is because I remember back in college watching Adult Swim every night at like 11:30, 12 o'clock, and they would always get to a certain point in the Buu saga, and they would stop and go all the way back to Namek. Because they didn't have the last like handful of episodes. I think they had it translated, but they were like not appropriate for even syndicated TV at like 11 o'clock midnight, at least at the time.
Yeah, at the time for sure.
So they would just loop it, and so I would watch like an idiot because it was early 2000s. There was nothing else you could do.
Yeah, right.
Until I discovered Kazaa, and then I think I finally like downloaded the last few episodes and watched them that way.
Well, according to Google, Dragon Ball Z Kakarot is broken up into 4 storylines: the Saiyan Saga, the Frieza Saga, the Cell Saga, and the Buu Saga.
Okay, so these might be like the movies.
That's possible. Yeah, actually, I think you're right, because Bardock and all of that stuff, I believe, was a movie.
Yeah. I don't know what A New Power Awakens is, though. That could be against Beerus from the Dragon Ball Super anime.
Okay, Beerus. Dude.
So they go into other Dragon Ball games. Or, I'm sorry, they go into other Dragon Ball shows.
So, I mean, and then to me, that's even cooler, because they're expanding on Goku's story. It's not just the Z content.
Right. I'm okay with that.
One of my favorite moments in the history of that show, and I've only ever seen a clip of it, I haven't seen the full episode, is where they're trying to appease Beerus. Because Beerus is like, he could destroy the world if he wants to. And Bulma says something to him he doesn't like, and I think he like smacks her or pushes her down or something, and Vegeta loses his ever-loving mind. And
because Vegeta married Bulma.
Yeah, and he beats the tar out of Beerus. It is fantastic. You see a rage in Vegeta like you've never seen before, and he takes this god and just annihilates him. It's wonderful television.
I actually saw the movie when it came out. A couple of friends of mine wanted to see the movie, and I'm like, I haven't been exposed to anything Dragon Ball in a long time. And the movie was actually fairly good. It didn't focus on Goku and Vegeta. It actually focused more on Gohan as a grown up with a kid of his own, and like it.
His kid's Goten, right?
His kid is Goten, and half the time, like, Piccolo is like being a father figure to Goten because
Gohan's just like his dad
or something. Yeah, what's that?
Because Gohan's just like his dad.
Yeah, he's the funny thing is he's like working like I don't know if he's a reporter or something, I don't remember, but he's like wearing glasses and like typing on a computer, and he's like, I gotta get this done, like, can you go pick up Goten? And so Piccolo now has to show up with his, like, you know, his Namek self and be like, I'm here to pick you up.
Tremendous.
But I don't know, I very much enjoyed the movie for someone who hasn't seen anything past Dragon Ball Z. It was still fun.
Yeah, I need to go back and rewatch some of that stuff. Like, I always tell myself, I'm going to put an anime on. And when I do, I always super enjoy it, right? Like, the last one I picked, probably not the best one to talk about on this show, because it was more of an adult anime, but it was called Harem to the Labyrinth of Another World or something like that, right? So it was super violent, it was super sexual, but it was hilarious. And there was another one called, like, Monster Monsu, or Mon Piece Monsu. I don't know, anything like that. But it was another one of those shows that's like risque, but hilarious. And I'm finding myself really enjoying those because they crack me up. But I just always...
They're good in a moment where you're burned out and you literally just need mind bleach, and you just need to sit there and just soak up something that's absolutely ridiculous just so you can have a good laugh and wash off the horrors of being an adult.
100%, man. 100%.
Yeah.
And on that note, let's run through the closing here, and then we can get up out of here. So
I feel bad that I think I may have turned a 30-minute podcast into almost 2 hours.
Hey, that's okay, dog. New format, new things coming. We'll hash it out. It's the first time. You know what I mean? We'll get into a flow. It's all good, and people either like it or they won't, and we're gonna keep putting it out regardless. So.
Please like it. We love you all.
We do.
All you fine listeners.
I don't want that to come off sounding mean or anything. I'm like, man, I'm trying. If you can't hear it in my voice, I'm trying.
No, listen, like, the point of me coming on was to hope that you would have a little bit more fun running through this format and have somebody to bounce off of. So hopefully I'm doing that for you.
Yeah. Oh yeah. 100%, dude. It was much. And that's the thing is, like, you know, I sit here for 20 minutes and read all this stuff off and don't really go into detail about it. Or I have somebody that I can bounce ideas off with, and maybe people will enjoy the banter and still get their news, you know? So, but if you would like to check out the show on Facebook, facebook.com/the JRPG Report, or excuse me, /JRPG Report, no the. If you want to check us out over on Twitter /X, whatever you want to call it, at JRPG Report. If you would like to join the Patreon, where you can get episodes, I'll say early and ad-free. You can do so at patreon.com/the JRPG Report. That will also get you access into the Patreon Discord server. So if you join the Patreon, just shoot me a DM. I will get you a link if it doesn't give it to you automatically. And boom, you can be in there, come hang out with us and talk about all the JRPG goodness. With a special shout out to these guys, Jake W, Jordan K, Kularian, and MasterLoot. We do appreciate you very, very much. And I want to give a shout out to Kularian. I do not know if you've been peeping around since I've given you access to the Discord, but he is currently working on something very cool. I do not know if he wants me to put out there exactly what it is yet, because it's a behind the scenes kind of thing. But he is working on something very cool that I think is going to be popular whenever if he finishes it and releases it for people. We can talk more about it off air. Just because, again, I don't have his permission. If I had his permission to talk about it, I would plug it 100%. But I do want to just say, though, he's working on something very cool. And if I get permission to bring it up, I will, because all of you listening would probably be interested in it. Other than that, Check me out over on the Steam Machine podcast, a bi-weekly PC gaming show where we play through a backlog of PC games. Right now, we are playing through Trails in the Sky, the second chapter. So definitely peek in for that. You want to check me out over on a definitely not family-friendly show, Yabs Pod, yet another BS podcast. Me and my buddy Jeremy just shoot the bull for a couple hours talking about whatever we happen to feel like. And yeah, man, go ahead and plug your stuff one more time there, Mikolov.
TeamRetrogue everywhere. YouTube, Twitch. If you do join the JRPG and the Steam Machine Discords, you could find me there as well. And you could find me on the Retro Handhelds Discord. And if you go on either on my X or on my YouTube channel, there's links to all that stuff there. Every video, I put a link to the Steam Machine and the Retro Handhelds Discord. So a couple of really cool communities that I'm partnered with, and adding adding JRPG Report to that list while butchering the name unintentionally.
Yeah, man. And also, like, if anybody listening wants to, bit.ly/TSMP Discord, all capital letters, put that in. It'll get you an invite into the Steam Machine Discord. You're more than welcome to come join. That we do where fans can vote on this poll that we have for games for the show. And more often than not, I try to at least sneak a JRPG report on, or not a JRPG report, a JRPG game in there for people to vote on. And it doesn't always get some votes. So if you want to change that and you want to hear about more JRPGs on the Steam Machine, come join. Check us out. bit.ly/TSMP Discord. Mikolov, thank you for joining me for this episode of the JRPG Report, my good sir. This has been episode 254. He is Mikolov. My name is Dalton. And as always, everyone, get back out there and level up.